My name is Daniel Rocky. I am a PLM Solutions Architect at Elite Aerospace Group. As mentioned earlier, I will going over our build-to-print process. This process supports jobs which customers provide engineering data and we build a part to it. We utilize this process to validate and release data received from customers and for risk assessment of the customer order. As for today's agenda, we will first go over the challenges we had prior to implementing the build-to-print process, then the goals and objectives of the process and the overview of it. We'll look at the process diagrams, the stakeholders and their tasks, and we'll see the process in action in Windchill. We'll also go over the reporting tools we created to monitor the process, and lastly, the benefits observed after deploying it in Windchill. Right, moving into the topic, here are the challenges we had prior to implementing the process. The first item is around the typical issues with data management in network folders. The human errors, version control, it was easy to be confused as to which document is the latest. Users were copying documents to different locations, adding to the confusion. There's always accidental deletion and overwriting. All of this resulted in time lost working on incorrect versions or losing work. It was also time-consuming to gain visibility. So questions like, do we have a sales order for this purchase order? Have we completed the risk assessment? Whose review is it pending? These questions had to be asked around at times. Access control was also an issue, like maintaining who has access to which folder could be an IT nightmare. The second part of the challenge was that the risk assessment for customer orders were not completed on time. This can lead to unexpected issues that may impact product delivery. And the primary cause of this was that the risk assessment was done on paper form. So that means people had to walk around with a stack of papers to get them reviewed and approved. We also had 4 departments that had to review them, and only one department can work on it on time. In addition, stakeholders can be in different facilities, so that means someone had to drive the stack of papers over, drop them off, or they had to scan, email, and sign and send back. So there's a lot of transitions when we have the physical paper form, and it can easily get lost. It's also easy to lose track of who has it too. So with those challenges, we had certain objectives for the build-to-print process. We wanted to validate and release customer documents for proper version control and change management. Also for easier access control. So Windchill can control access by the state of the document, such as in work or released. And the location of the document was not that important. So it's easier to manage the access, and we're using this to only share released or approved documents to downstream roles. We also wanted to get rid of the paper form because that was our primary cause of the slowdown for the contracts review. So by having the process and the risk assessment checklist in Windchill, we were able to obsolete the physical paper form that had to be circulated. To streamline the risk assessment process so that it can be completed in a timely manner. And lastly, for the visibility and reporting capabilities. By having the process and data in Windchill, users can easily see where the process is at, who has the pending tasks. It also opens up the opportunity for various KPI reporting. All right, so this is the process flow diagram. Let me explain this from the beginning. So we'll start at the start node. This one is performed by our customer document admin who receives the customer order package. So they'll upload the documents into Windchill and then create the workflow for the order. And then if you follow the blue arrow, it will move into what we call the DCA validate docs node. This is performed by our document control admin. They will validate the customer documents, ensure the revisions are correct, ensure we have the complete order package. They will also review the customer order and decide if contracts review is necessary at all. So we have a fast track option, which is represented with the green arrow going around to approval notification. This routing option skips the contracts review, and we only use it for minor changes to existing orders, such as date changes that do not affect the sales order. We follow the blue arrow again. We're into the contracts review. So this is performed by 4 different departments: production, programming, procurement, and quality. Each department will go through a checklist to assess the risk of the order. Once all 4 departments complete the review, the documents are released in Windchill, which makes them available to the downstream roles, such as production. And the process will move on to approval notification. This is where tasks performed outside of Windchill happens. So it notifies planning that we're done with the contracts review and you're ready to complete the sales order in ERP. It also sends a notification to our program managers so they can contact the customer to acknowledge the order. Okay, right, let's move on to a demo in Windchill and see what the process looks like. Okay, so what you're seeing here is a demo folder in our Windchill system. I will take the role of the customer document admin, and I have already uploaded the customer documents. So here I have the drawing, this is the step file, and we have the purchase order here. The customer document admin, I will create the workflow and check it off. So right, we do have a subtype of a promotion request called the BTP process. And I will set a due date to our standard 48 hours to acknowledge the PO. And I am setting these documents so that they go into the release state. Then I will finish. Okay, so that's it for creating the workflow. The process will now move into the document control admin. Okay. So I am also assigned as a document control admin for this demo. So let's take a look at what the task looks like. So in Windchill, there's a home page for each user and a table for my tasks. So any tasks that I have to review and approve or take action will show up in here. I'm accessing that workflow task that we just created. Okay. The first thing I would do as the document control admin is to validate the documents. I would go to the promotion objects tabs. This is where I can download the content. So I downloaded the step file. I can also download the drawing and review it here. So this is that drawing. And based on this review, I will make the decision of how to route the workflow. So I have 4 options. Submit will move the workflow forward for full contracts review. Fast track will bypass it. And then rework will send the task back to the workflow initiator. So in case the revision is wrong or there's missing documents, I'll select the rework option and send it back. The decline option is mainly used for systematic reasons. So if the workflow initiator selected the wrong promotion request type or the process type, those can't be changed after the fact. And in that case, I would click on the decline option and basically terminate the workflow. And it'll have to be recreated again with the correct type and process type. For this demo, I will go ahead and leave the option to submit and complete the task. Okay, so when the document control submits the workflow, the contracts review, or the 4 departments reviewing the risk assessment will receive the task at the same time. So I am assigned also to the procurement engineer role for the contracts review, but the other 3 departments have the task at the same time. So this reduces the problem, or eliminates the problem with the physical paper form, where only 1 department had a chance to look at it at a time. Okay, so as the procurement engineer, I will perform the contract review here. Okay, so I'm going to the promotion objects tab and basically doing the same review as the document control element. I would download the drawing, the step file, review each one, and then based on that review, what I have to do is fill in the risk assessment form. Not really a form, but it's a list of questions for my department, and I can find them in the BTP contracts review, the procurement section. These are the questions that I need to answer, and to do that, I will edit the promotion request, navigate to the section for my questions, which is procurement. Then I will start filling in these questionnaires. Okay, that's it for my part. I'm going to click OK. And my inputs will be saved to the workflow itself, so other departments have visibility to this as well. Okay, so you can see my answers to these questions here. So that's it for my task. I can also send it back for rework if I noticed a missing drawing or incorrect revision or anything else with the order. I can send it back for rework. Right, so I will complete the task, and that's how the contracts review is done for this process. The other 3 departments, programming, production, and quality, they will basically do the same thing, but just with different items in their checklist. And once all 4 departments complete the review, the documents are released in Windchill, and a approval notification is sent to planning and program management. Okay. The added benefit of having the processes in Windchill is the history is also recorded. So I'm looking at the process that I just approved. And if I go to the history of it, the process tab, I can see that, okay, the document control was reviewed by this person, and then the contracts review for procurement was done by this person, and all the tasks that don't have a check mark next to it, those are open tasks. And you can see who's assigned to it. So you basically know at a glance whose action is it pending. Another benefit is that if I go to the task page, as a manager, I can see a list of all the open tasks for this project context. So we have quite a few. And as a manager, I can reassign these tasks to other users, other team members, or I can just simply go up through the desk and have them go through them. Okay. Okay, back to the slides. I also wanted to show the reporting apps that we've developed in ThingWorx Navigate for the process. These are just an example of what can be done with the data residing in Windchill. For those of you who aren't familiar, Navigate is a suite of apps built on PTC's IoT platform called ThingWorx. It connects to Windchill and provides an easier interface to access data for downstream users who are mainly data consumers. So we've took advantage of this platform and developed our own custom apps for our management team. So starting from the top left, we have the open workflow report. This displays open workflows with pending tasks per role, opposed to Windchill's task page, which the list is per assignee. This can be used by managers to facilitate the process by providing additional resources or simply contacting the roles to push the process through. Moving down is the task performance report. This one displays the number of tasks completed within a selected date range and the average time for the task completion. This one can be used to spot bottlenecks in the process. So at one point, we might want to make some improvements to the process itself, or we might need to provide training to the new users. It'll help managers make those kind of decisions. And to the right, we have the BTP contracts review form generator. So it's just a clean and easy way of doing past contracts reviews in an organized form format. And let's go over a quick demo on these as well. So I will start with the open workflow report. Okay, so this one only has two inputs. I'm selecting the project context in Windchill and then the workflow type. So these reports can be used on any other workflow type, but we'll just stick to the build to print process for the demo. Okay, and I'll click on generate reports. Okay, so going through the data and charts here, starting at the top right corner, we have the number of unique workflows open. And we also have the average days they're open. The chart to the left gives us the quantity of the tasks. So we have 23 tasks that are open. And the chart to the right breaks that down into which role has how many tasks. So as we can see, manufacturing has quite a few, followed by quality. And then the table below is a raw data dump of the open workflow data. Okay, moving on to the task performance report. This has the same inputs plus the date range. So I need to select the start date. I'll select April 1st, and then up to today. So within this date range, it will report on how many tasks were completed by role. That's the chart on the left. And then the average task completion time for each role. Okay. And moving on to the third tool, this is the BTP contracts review form generator. Oops, sorry. Okay, so it takes two types of inputs. One is the workflow process number. We use a 5-digit number for this. I can also input a document number, any document that is attached to a build-to-print process. So let's go with that option. I'm punching in a purchase order number with the revision of dash. And it will pull up the contracts review record of that document. So it gives me the process number here, the approval date, who it was reviewed by, the documents reviewed. Up here, it would give me the workflow comments. So if there was any risks or concerns that these roles had during the risk assessment, they would note them here. Then it gives us the contracts review inputs for each department. And this information is also available in Windchill, but you have to jump through different tabs at times. This form just gives you a clean and easy format of all that information in one place. Okay, going back to the slides. Okay, so the benefits observed. So far, after implementing the process in Windchill, we have observed these benefits. So less maintenance, There's less effort on managing access control through Windchill. Version history is automatically maintained or retained, so users can easily access them if needed. There's reduced risk, so less human errors, easy to identify latest versions, faster performance in contracts review. Then we have the visibility and monitoring that didn't exist in network folders. So the process status is always clear, pending actions can be easily monitored, and then it gives you a whole opportunity to build desired KPIs. And finally, lowered cost. So less time spent on data management, less errors that may lead to scrap or missed delivery dates, and then visibility to track changes for better decision making. This concludes what I had for today's webinar. I'd like to open it up for questions now. If you have any questions, please enter them in the chat window and I'll answer them as they come in.
Thank you very much, Daniel. It looks great. Actually, while we wait to see if anyone else had any questions, I have just a couple things maybe you could help with. So you mentioned that, obviously normally a company that's doing build to print isn't typically using PLM. So, what we're doing in Elite is a little bit unique. I think you covered what some of those key benefits are, but is any one of those in your mind the best benefit, the single reason to use PLM?
The version control, I think the benefit is so huge compared to the network folders because it's so prone to human errors. Like, for example, if you're managing the revision in folders by moving the documents in, let's say, the in-work folder to released, if someone forgets to do that or puts the wrong one in there, the wrong document gets distributed to everyone, right? And Windchill really does a good job preventing that. So I think that reduces the most loss with having documents in the network folder.
And one other question, actually. You mentioned that moving to PLM was kind of a reduction in paper. You don't have people physically driving stacks of paper between facilities. Other than that,
yep.
Has PLM required any significant changes? Or obviously, not having to carry paper around is more of a benefit than a change. But were there any other changes to the business as a result of using PLM?
The changes is mainly on how people work. So obviously you have to provide the training to everyone. On the good side, I think, right. Yeah, it's the decision making that it allows through the visibility and traceability. I think that's the good change for management.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Well, I don't see any other questions coming in. So if there are any questions, everyone is free to contact myself and Daniel. Our contact information is posted. Hopefully you got that before the meeting as well. And we will contact you with the next webinar. Daniel, thank you very much for an excellent presentation today.
Thank you very much.
Have a nice day, everyone.